This video is dedicated to all chess beginners who want to know a few simple, yet common and effective killer moves that will surely happen in your games. Now, all of the four combinations we're gonna see are part of very normal openings and serve to punish your opponent's bad play, so I won't necessarily talk about the so-called cheesy openings. And what do I mean by this? Well, these openings are super common, but even if your opponent deviates a little bit, well, you're not gonna necessarily end in trouble like most other opening tricks. But yeah, let's just get into the moves. They all start with pushing your e pawn to e4, and I'll show these moves in order of increasing difficulty. So yeah, let's just get into it. This first one is super simple, but you wouldn't believe how many people fall for it. We start by pushing our pawn to e4, and black here plays d5, immediately contesting the center. But the thing is, we can just take the pawn here, and after queen takes, we can play knight to c3 and activate our knight while attacking the queen. This is called developing with the tempo, because now we're forcing the queen to move, and she's gonna kind of waste a move. Now, here the queen has a ton of possibilities. She can go to a5, she can go to e5, giving a check. She can go back to d8, which is probably the most common. But a lot of people, especially beginners, just play queen to c6. And all of a sudden, white can gain a ridiculous advantage by just playing this simple bishop to b5 because, well, here the bishop is obviously protected by the knight. And yeah, this is called a pin. White just pins the queen to the king. And yeah, the queen literally cannot run from the pin, and yeah, she'll have to give itself for the bishop, and white will just have a very comfortable game. Okay, now with the warm-up done, let's move on to the next one. So after e4, here black replies with e5. We can play knight f3, hitting this pawn with tempo. And here black plays this sort of copycat opening. He plays knight f6, counter-attacking the e4 pawn. This is called the Petrov defense or the Russian game. And here white can take this pawn here. And more often than not, beginners just take this pawn back and argue that everything is equal. However, they just usually end up in trouble here because white can play this simple queen e2, hitting the knight, but most importantly, aligning the queen with the king back here. Because here usually they'll just block their knight back, but again it's like move 5 or move 6, and white can just gain a crazy advantage. If you never saw this, you can pause the video and try to figure it out. But here white can just play knight c6, and you'll just gain a crazy advantage because this comes with a check, and at the same time the knight is attacking the queen, so black is forced to block the check, for example with the bishop, but then just knight takes queen. Even if the queen blocks, the knight can promptly just take her, and again white would be just up a queen and we'll have a very comfortable game. So that's it for the second one. Jumping to the third one, back in the day this was my personal favorite, as I farmed so much yellow with this, you have no idea. Anyways, we have the same opening. After knight f3, we saw knight f6, but black isn't forced to do this. He can just play knight c6, defend the pawn this way, perhaps d6, just defend the pawn the other way, or f6. And beginners usually play this blunder a lot of the times. But the problem with f6, although it looks similar to d6, just protecting the pawn, this way you open this diagonal over here, and you shouldn't open your king this early. And this is the prime example of it, because you can just sacrifice the knight on move 3 and look like a complete genius. Because after pawn takes, boom, queen h5 hits. And yeah, black is just in trouble. If they block the check this way, just queen takes pawn. This comes with a fork. You check the king and the black rook, so you'll get the rook here in the corner and have a very pleasant game. And if black thinks they're clever and just plays king e7, just take the pawn, king goes to f7, but now the bishop comes in, bishop c4, giving a check. King has to go to g6, but now queen f5, and you're just hunting the king. King goes to h6, but now d3, you open your bishop back here and he also joins the attack. Now black has to push the g pawn, just blocking the check here. But now h4, you just try to open everything and get all your pieces involved. And black is just completely toast here. For example, d6, trying to hit your queen this way, just pawn takes. King is forced to g7, but now the queen along with the bishop, just murder the black king, just queen f7 is checkmate. But okay, there are still a couple details. For example, here instead of d6, perhaps d5. And after you take king g7, there's no queen f7 because the bishop's diagonal is blocked. So perhaps instead of taking, you'd have to play a sort of advanced move, queen f7, sacrificing the bishop, because now no matter what black does, you're just gonna take the pawn and the king is just stuck. The point of queen f7 is just restricting the king back here. So yeah, he's just completely stuck and mate is unstoppable. And yeah, that's the only detail you really have to worry about here. It's the only way you can lose the game, basically the bishop attacking your queen. But apart from that, you'll just farm a lot of wins here. And yeah, that's all there is to it. Easy wins here. And this last one is pretty crazy as well. We start with d4, black replies with d5, again the Scandinavian defense. We take the pawn, queen retakes, knight c3, but now black learns from their mistakes and doesn't play queen c6, he plays queen d8 and just plugs the queen back. Now we continue with normal development, knight f3, knight f6, bishop c4, and now black plays this very natural move, bishop g4, just pinning our horse here to the queen and kind of restricting our position. But the point here is that white can just ignore the pin and play this beautiful knight d5 move and just completely give up the queen. And I mean, if this happens in like under 1,000 rating, I'm pretty sure everyone will just take the queen and boom, bishop takes f7 and you just won in like 5 moves. That's amazing because the knight here covers the escape square, the knight covers this f7 square, and the bishop delivers the final blow. How cool is this? But okay, black might see this and okay, let's play bishop h5 and protect f7 this way. Well, you can just give up your queen again and yeah, renew the threat. Because if knight takes again, bishop takes f7, and we have this very nice checkmate again. Now, if black sees all of this, he might go bishop e6 and, you know, defend the threat this way. But now you can simply take the bishop, and after pawn takes, you can just put your king to safety. You have your development pretty much complete. You have your king in complete safety. And meanwhile, black's army is in complete shambles. Weaknesses everywhere. Nothing developed. And yeah, you can just play very natural moves like queen f3, perhaps hitting this, rook e1, just piling up on this very weak pawn. And white just has a crashing advantage here. You can even analyze with the computer. This is, I mean, just a beautiful. It's not even a trap because you're not risking anything, but you just end up with these amazing positions. And back here, it's also important to notice that instead of knight e5, you can also go for this bishop takes on f7, and this is another variation that it just wins because after king takes on f7, you can sort of invert the order, right? After the bishop is sacrificed, you can play knight e5, fork the pieces this way, and yeah, after the king moves, just knight takes, and again, you end up with a very nice position. Now just tap a pawn, and yeah, I prefer the other one, but this is also winning, so yeah, choose your poison, I guess. But yeah, these are the sort of traps that are super common that usually happen among beginners, and most of the times they're missed by both sides. So yeah, I wish I knew this when I started to play. So if you guys enjoyed, please consider liking and subscribing, and yeah, drop your comment, and yeah, feel free to leave some feedback in the comments also. I really appreciate it, and yeah, catch you in the next one. Bye.